Welcome back to Bash Bros in episode 95 of Notorious Pro Wrestling, the TEW Let's Play series where we find out what exactly would happen if Conor McGregor started his own wrestling promotion. We are steadily ramping up to, in my opinion, our biggest pay-per-view of the year, Fear No Man. In fact, this is the go-home show for that pay-per-view. Now, it's been about 2 weeks since you guys were here. Last time you were here was a Rev Pro episode. Let's take a look at the wanteds that you missed. So starting with April week 1's Wanted, it was a 69 rated show, very good. Let's start off with the final match of the P12 tournament, which was Iestyn Rees versus Myles Cowan, which Iestyn Rees won. Leading to the finals, which we will have a contract signing for tonight, and the finals will be Claudio versus Iestyn Rees. After that match then, Claudio Castagnoli did jump the barrier as all the P12 competitors were sitting at ringside to watch the match, and got in Iestyn Rees' face, even going as far as to raise Myles Cowan's hand in front of Iestyn Rees. Kip Sabian, who was also at ringside, was a bit miffed about this, and this will kind of lead into a future feud between Myles Cowan and Kip Sabian, with Kip kind of being jealous why Myles has been chosen as like the future star of NPW whenever, you know, Kip feels like he's just as good. Next up, we had a contract signing between Maki Ito and Mad Marley Quinn for the Notorious Pro Wrestling Women's title match at the pay-per-view. And in this segment, you know, Liv said, you know, she's been waiting over a year for this to come back and win the championship. And Maki says, like, you know, do you not think I felt bad? You know, I was racked with guilt over the fact I injured you, but you need to understand that I can't let this championship go. You know, still face versus face. Next then, we had an angle between Lethal and Storm. Pretty much Lethal's like, you know, I don't like you, you don't like me, but we seem to have a common problem here, and if I help you with your problem, maybe you'll help me with my problem. And then in the main event then, we did have Jay Lethal versus Will Hobbs, and Jay Lethal got the win after James Storm interfered to cost Will Hobbs the match. Post-match then, Jay Lethal holds Will Hobbs up, and Storm smashes a beer bottle directly into Will Hobbs' face. Chris Hero runs out to try and make the save, but it's too late as the heels run off. So this will then lead to a final confrontation between Will Hobbs and Jay Lethal, which will then write off Will Hobbs for good. He will go down to Rev Pro, and I think Will Hobbs could... He doesn't need a massive amount of polish, but I think like he will benefit from going down there. Maybe even give him a run with the Rev Pro title. I don't know. We'll see. And come back up good as new. Plus with Carlos Romo down in Rev Pro, and they've kind of got that history of being pals, we can maybe have another tag team, which I've said before we desperately need in Rev Pro. Moving on then to the week 2 April's Wanted. Rhea voices her concerns to Martina backstage about Jamie Hayter. Even though Martina and her are friendly, Rhea thinks she went too far with Rachel Ellering, I think that's who it was, a few weeks ago, and really hurt her. But Martina laughs it off, saying like, you know, oh, that's how they wrestle in Japan. That's just how they do it. Duh. Jamie Hayter, Rhea O'Reilly and Martina then go on to win a 6-woman tag against Keitel, Nicole and Ellering. NPW champion Kenny Omega then bursts in to Conor McGregor's office backstage and demands that he wants to face AJ at the pay-per-view. Conor's like, look, it's not happening. He is not a contracted wrestler, and not only that, Pac has earned a shot at the title. So that's what's happening. But Conor says he's going to sort out the AJ issue. Of course, it was revealed 3 weeks ago, that it was AJ Styles who was attacking Kenny Omega relentlessly as retribution for him being kicked out of the Bullet Club. You know, Kenny Omega usurping the Bullet Club from AJ Styles back in Japan. After Joe Hennig defeats Jody Fleisch then, The Knights, Brittany Knight and Ricky Knight Jr. debut and say to Joe that he wants to talk about names in wrestling, about the heritage. There's only one name in the UK that means anything in wrestling, and that's the Knights. And that's just going to start off their feud then going forward. Next up then, Connor calls AJ out to the ring. He comes in through the crowd and he says if he can beat Pentagon Jr. at the pay-per-view, he will become an NPW contracted wrestler. And AJ's like, fine, not a bother. Connor then says, but you gotta remember, you've already pissed off a lot of people. Penta then appears behind AJ and sprays mist in his face and does like his Zero Muerda thing or whatever, I don't know, but does all that sort of goodness, and then that's it. We will be having AJ Styles versus Pentagon Jr. That's going to be a pretty good match, I think. That'll be a pretty good match. Next up, Grizzled Young Vets defeat the Velocities, and afterwards they call out Aussie Open and say, you know what, we want our title match now. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, they were offered a title match and Grizzled Young Vets turned it down to play mind games. Aussie Open come out though and say, you know what, you can have your match, but those guys behind you, the Velocities, have impressed us more than you ever have. So you know what, they're going to get a title shot too. So at the pay-per-view it will be Grizzled Young Vets versus the Velocities versus Aussie Open, and in the main event Kenny Omega defeated Chris Hero in a belter match, 70 rated match. All in all, it was a 71 rated show, which is fantastic. So let's move on to news then. So first of all, Nyla Rose, who recently signed for WWE and is working there as Isabella, set to retire now. She will retire in 3 months. Bit surprised by this, although she's not the youngest. Because she's on an exclusive contract, I would have thought that she would have stuck about a bit, but apparently not. So eagle eye viewers might have noticed some interesting news on the start screen of this episode, and we're going to delve into that in 1 wee second, but this kind of leads into that. So Impact recently rised to a medium-sized wrestling company, so they are technically kind of on par, well not really, but they are, you know, same size, considered the same size as WWE and AEW, which is kind of cool. It's really kind of cool. And with their new size, they have gone on a bit of a hiring spree. So notable ones are Sasha Banks, who apparently is not being re-signed by WWE. I don't know what the fuck that's about. But yeah, so Sasha Banks being released by WWE and now going to make her way to Impact, and also Bianca Belair. So she again apparently is not being re-signed by WWE, and Impact's going to like, yeah, I'll have that. So Impact's women's division's kind of sick. It's really kind of sick at this stage. We will take a look at some of the people Impact have hired. So they've also hired Mustafa Ali. He will be phenomenal for their X division. Great wrestler. Leva Bates also going there. Wesley Blake, Riddick Moss, all ex-WWE guys. Peter Avalon also going there. Mental, absolutely mental, but also very cool. I kind of want to look at their women's division now because it's going to be really good. Oh, that's not as big as I thought. I thought that'd be a lot bigger. So Bianca Belair, Jessica Havoc, Kira Hogan, Mercedes KV, Renee Michelle, Rosemary, Sue Young, Tasha Steeles, Tennille Dashwood, and Naomi's there too. Man, like, it's not as big as I thought it was going to be. They're kind of missing obvious ones like Taya Valkyrie, Jordan Grace, but man, like, there is some talent there. There is some serious talent there. Okay, so that is everything covered. So let's book the show then, shall we? Okay, and we are back, coming at you from the Borough Hall in Hartlepool. It is Thursday Night Wanted. So here is the card. I had to cut Kaylee Ray versus Rachel Ellering short, and that's just due to needing more time for the post-match angle. If you remember a while ago, I have talked about that Kelly Ray is going to splinter off from the Filthy Generation because she's just a bit too good for them. And then they are going to go down to Rev Pro. And once they're down there, we'll have a couple of cool wee things that they could do. So let's start the show. Backstage, and Miles Kamen says he probably overperformed in the P12. He's aware of that, but he's going to ride the momentum that he has now all the way to the top. And that is a 43 rated segment, which is okay. Next up in a pre-show match, Ricky Knight Jr. defeated Ken Malmsteen, Rich Swann, and Kenny Williams in 15-11. Ken had a 42, Ricky had a 62, Rich had a 67, and Kenny a 57. Brittany did some good at ringside, and Ricky Knight and Brittany Knight do have good chemistry. Not great, but is good, which is nice to see. That is a 62 rated match overall. Rich Swann's pretty good. Sorry, I saw that. That's a good performance from Rich Swann. We don't use Rich Swann a lot. We should use him more. We should use him more. Then on to the main show. So Miles Kamen defeats Stevie Boy in 14:44. Miles with a 58, Stevie with a 48. All in all, a 56 rated. Wow, so Miles really carried Stevie. That's really good. For someone so young, that's really good. Post-match then, Kip Sabian viciously attacks Miles Kamen. And as Vicky Haskins, or just Vicky as she's now known as, pins Miles Kamen to the mat with the baseball bat or something. Kip goes on a rant on the microphone and asks, why do you boo me? Why do you boo me but cheer Miles when I'm just every bit as good as him, if not better? And because he doesn't get that he's a heel and does heelish things, like attacking someone after a match. And then he says, once again, he is underappreciated and underrated and all that under shtick that he's currently doing. 60 rated segment, which is good. Next up in a promo, Maki Ito says, look, she hears the doubters who say she can't beat Crazy Mary Dobson, and she hears the haters who say that she is the bad guy, going into this match with Liv Morgan. Well, tonight she is going to silence the doubters by beating Crazy Mary Dobson, and at the pay-per-view, well, you can guess exactly what's going to happen. 69, which is very good, it's still very good, but it's quite low for Maki. She's really been pulling out 70s usually, but still not bad at all. Very, very good. But yeah, so good promo for Maki Ito. Next up then, Maki Ito defeats Crazy Mary Dobson in 14:41. Crazy Mary Dobson had a 51, Maki Ito had a 55. All in all, a 55 rated match, which is good. So Maki finally gets the win a clean win over Crazy Mary Dobson. No distractions, no hesitations. She goes and she wins it, giving her a lot of momentum going into her match with Mad Marley Quinn. I think I said Liv Morgan earlier, which it is, but not here. We can't call her that. Vince will sue. Next up is the contract signing for the P12 finals at the Fear No Man pay-per-view. Claudio was there, along with Iestyn Rees and all of the prestige, and Claudio does his spiel, says he's going to win, and then Nick Aldis does all the talking for Iestyn Rees, and gets to the point where Claudio literally turns around and says, hold on, I'm not fighting you in the finals, I'm fighting Rees in the finals, and I want to hear what Rees has to say. And Rees then takes the microphone and just says two words, get him, and all prestige attack Claudio and put him through the table. 85 rated segment because Connor was involved. Next up, Kelly Ray then defeats Rachel Ellering in 9:40. Poor Rachel Ellering's had a bad time. They has 3 losses in 3 weeks for her. Jesus. In 9:47. Kelly Ray had a 55, Rachel Ellering a 41, all in all 53, which is good. Post match then, the rest of Filthy Generation come into the ring and try to celebrate with Kelly Ray. And Kaylee's just like, you know what? No. She takes a microphone and says to Stevie and to Aspen and to Lewis, you don't get to ride my coattails anymore. I'm the only one that has seen any success out of this quartet, and you 3 losers are holding me back, and I'm done with you. She then throws the mic at them and storms away. As Filthy Generation then kind of go up the ramp, Kelly Ray comes back out and attacks blindsides them from behind with a baseball bat, beating the shite out of all 3 of them. She brings Stevie Boy then over to the edge of the ramp and edge of the stage area and kisses him, because they are a couple in real life, and throws him right off the fucking stage. Like a kiss of death sort of thing. And then that'll write off Stevie Boy and the Filthy Generation, who will now go to Rev Pro. 49 rated segment, which is okay. It's okay. And in our main event then, Jay Lethal defeats Chris Hero in 1753 following an interference from James Storm. Chris Hero had a 57. That's weak from Chris. That's very weak. He's usually a lot better than that. And Jay Lethal a 67. All in all, a 66 rated match, which is still very good. Post-match then, as the heels are beating down Chris Hero, Will Hobbs returns with an eye patch because he's injured his eye due to the glass bottle to the face, but he absolutely cleans house. He yeets James Storm over the top rope. He slams Jay Lethal and helps Chris Hero, and picks up the microphone and says, "Lethal, this is far from over. Eye for an eye. At the pay-per-view, we're going to face each other in a no DQ match." 66 rated segment, which is good. And that is the show 70. Wow, that 85 really helped us. Was not expecting that. That's very, very good. That's awesome. Don't really see a weakness other than really Filthy Gen promo, but I think with our tight angle focus wouldn't really have affected us too much. Bit disappointed with Chris Hero's performance in the main event, but still overall a very good match. 66. So yeah, very, very happy with that. No real massive news after the tapings, apart from Impact continuing to strengthen their women's division by hiring Mandy Leon. So, man, Impact could possibly be a force to be reckoned with, which is, I think, again, very cool. Very, very cool. So that is it, guys, for another week. Next time you guys will be back is going to be this Sunday. Yes, no, this Saturday. Sunday. For the Fear No Man pay-per-view. Again, in my opinion, probably our biggest pay-per-view of the year. This is our WrestleMania. I think the P12 finals usually happening here, maybe a reason for that. All in all, yeah. If I had to pick one, I would say this is our biggest pay-per-view of the year. But thank you as always for joining me. If you have any ideas for storylines, feuds, anything at all, put them in the comments and I will try and book that for you. Recently got a couple of suggestions from William Logan, so thank you very much, mate, for your suggestions, about some ideas for Down in Rev Pro with Stevie Boy and a couple of the Scottish lads. So yeah, look out for that. I think my plan is to bring in BT Gunn and reform a version, if not the exact same version, as the New Age Clique from ICW. But I think first of all I'll have BT Gunn versus Stevie Boy and the Filthy Generation, because I do plan to bring the Purge in as well, so I can reform the Bad Faction Company, or reform the Bad Company faction. So yeah, I say a couple of ideas for Rev Pro, especially now that the P12's come to an end. We're going to be going directly into the Great British Tag League in Rev Pro, so that'll be a big tag tournament held throughout the summer, and I would really like to get more tag teams into Rev Pro essentially. Derek Slater also has an idea for AJ Styles, and that is to have him feud with Nick Aldis, because as he rightly pointed out, Nick Aldis ousted AJ Styles from Impact, or TNA as it was at the time, and it gave me a cool idea for AJ. I think his character going forward can be like this avenging angel, like all the people who have kind of wronged him in the past, he's kind of maybe going to start righting those wrongs. And the whole reason why is he realizes, you know what, I'm fucking like 40 years old, guys. I don't got a lot of time left, and so like he's trying to get revenge on all the people who have wronged him over the course of his career or whatever. And yeah, that's kind of gonna be his character going forward. So thank you very much for that, Derek. Your idea led to that idea for AJ. So yes, absolutely, we will have an AJ Styles versus Nick Aldis feud down the line. And also the Prestige will be a part of that too. So see, I do read the comments, guys. I was very bad at it for a while there, but I do read the comments. So that is everything I have to ramble about. Again, thank you as always, guys. I love the support on the channel. Merry Christmas. I think this will come out around Christmas time, maybe a little bit afterwards. Date of recording is the 17th, so you know, this could possibly be 2023, but if it is, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's to you all. With all that being said, I will see you next time on Bash Bros.